Welcome to the Fraum Center with our friend Dr. Heather. Dr. H, it's great to see you. Had a scary moment the other day. A friend of mine took a tumble at a restaurant, slip and fell, and I hadn't really thought about it before. Talk to me about falls, because it was pretty scary stuff.
Falls, people generally aren't worried about falls until it's too late to worry about a fall. Once people start falling, generally their lifespan is about 3 to 5 years after that. And in that 3 to 5 years, they're going to have a number of severe injuries from those falls and become weaker and weaker and weaker and end up dependent on other people for basic bodily functions.
Why am I falling? Why is it that I'm getting... Is it just getting older, or what are some of the contributing factors?
I mean, that can be it, unfortunately, because our muscle mass declines by about 0.8 to 1% a year, starting in our 40s or 50s. So yeah, I know, no bueno. We need all the muscle mass we can get, okay? So that's one thing. You know, we do have a number of people in our society right now, unfortunately, with out-of-control diabetes and severe neuropathy because of that. When you have neuropathy, you don't quite know where the ground is. And it's scary. It's very scary. And that is a driver for a lot of falls. But I would say the number one driver for falls is actually poor muscle tone in general.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Especially our glutes and our pelvic floor. Because if we hit a step wrong, or maybe somebody runs into us, if we don't have the pelvic girdle muscles to stabilize ourselves in space and catch ourselves, what are we doing? We're going straight back. And then you end up with a broken hip, broken back, head bleed, something severe that's going to require a good deal of recovery.
One of the things that we're really good at are solutions, you know, when we talk, and you've got some solutions to that.
Yes. Well, you know, neuropathy, number one, control the underlying metabolic driver. So if it's out of control diabetes, we've got to get that under control. Being physically active, a lot of people who are falling also aren't physically active in the process. So coming under the care of a professional like a physical therapist to get people reconditioned so that their gait is more normalized, they're starting to build up some of that muscle mass, that can be super important. You know, some of that can be limited by underlying medical disease, right? So if somebody has coronary artery disease, like with stents in their heart, congestive heart failure, they may be limited as to how much they can push themselves because of those issues. So how can we build our bodies a little bit better with keeping that in mind? Well, you know, we don't have to depend on just straight exercise. We can also use machines to help tone those muscles so that we can get some of that muscle mass back and get it back quickly, in a very effective way.
And that's something here that you have that a lot of places really don't. It sets you apart. Share with us.
Yeah, so we have what's called the Core-to-Floor program. This is high-frequency focused electromagnetic energy. So basically, it's somewhat similar to an MRI magnet. That gets focused on the muscle at certain wavelengths for certain intervals of time to trigger muscle contraction.
Oh, interesting.
Very much so. Now, one of the machines actually has the capability of fat burning as well.
What about pelvic floor stuff?
Yes. Now, that is actually super interesting because most people think about women post-childbirth and incontinence as, obviously that's pelvic floor dysfunction, right? But there are so many people in our society who have had surgeries on their belly. We have, you know, our population here in the area is older. We have a lot of older gentlemen who have survived prostate cancer and have had a prostatectomy or some other insult to the pelvic floor in terms of a surgical procedure. So it's less obvious why men might have pelvic dysfunction, but it's still there regardless.
And yet this machine, this use of an instrument, if you will, or a tool, can help improve that function?
Yes. And what's interesting about this chair is that this is, to my knowledge, the only non-invasive way to stimulate that muscle growth. For women, it's pretty easy to see how we might use some external medical device to stimulate muscle growth, but men don't have that same access point, right? So it makes it a little bit more difficult for men to rehab their pelvic floors, or at least one might think.
Correct.
But there's technology.
And I think this, if nothing else, this will tease you a bit to come and see Dr. H at the Fraum Center. There are so many options available. Yes. You don't have to feel yucky.
Correct. Come in and get healthy.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.